I ended her life. These chilling words, scrawled in a water-damaged notebook, were Brian Laundrie's final confession. But was this really the whole story, or another attempt to control the narrative? Today, we're looking into the Gabby Petito case like never before. Gabby, a 22-year-old aspiring travel influencer, had a complex background that would play into her tragic fate. We'll explore the red flags everyone missed, the moments that could have changed everything, and the questions that still keep investigators up at night. Get ready, because this story is about to challenge everything you thought you knew about love, trust, and justice. On August 12th in Moab, Utah, a frantic 911 call came in that would change everything. The caller's words were chilling. "I'd like to report a domestic dispute. The gentleman was slapping the girl." But when the police showed up, they saw a totally different story playing out. The body cam footage from that day, it's like watching a bizarre alternate reality show. On one side, you've got Gabby, clearly upset and taking the blame for everything. She's crying, she's shaking, and she's telling the cops it's all her fault. On the other side, there's Brian, cool as a cucumber. He's calm, he's collected, and he's got this whole aw, shucks vibe going on. Now, most people would think case closed, right? Just another lover's quarrel. But something just doesn't add up. You've got this 911 caller who saw a guy slapping a girl, and then you've got this couple telling a completely different story. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with pieces from two different boxes. And you know what's really messing with my head? The way the cops handled it. They saw Gabby crying, they saw her taking the blame, and they just accepted it. They didn't dig deeper. They didn't ask the tough questions. It's like they had this preconceived notion about what domestic disputes look like, and they couldn't see past it. But here's the thing. Domestic violence isn't always black and white. It's not always bruises and black eyes. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's psychological, and sometimes the victim is so caught up in it, they can't even see what's happening to them. Can you imagine being Gabby in that moment? You're on this dream road trip, living the van life, posting all these perfect Instagram photos, but behind the scenes, things are falling apart. And now you're face to face with these cops and you're thinking, if I just take the blame, if I just smooth things over, we can get back on the road and everything will be okay. But it wasn't okay, not by a long shot. And that's what makes this 911 call so important. It's like a window into what was really going on. It's someone on the outside looking in and saying, hey, something's not right here. This missed opportunity, it's gonna haunt this case for a long, long time. Because if the cops had dug a little deeper, if they'd taken that 911 call more seriously, who knows how things might have turned out differently. I mean, think about it. What if they'd separated Gabby and Brian for more than just a few minutes? What if they'd asked more questions about their relationship, about any history of arguments or violence? What if they'd looked closer at the scratches on Brian's face or noticed how Gabby was protecting him even as she was falling apart? It's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, I know. But when you're dealing with potential domestic violence, every detail matters. Every sign is important. And in this case, there were warning signs all over the place. So here we are looking back at this one moment in time, this 911 call that could have changed everything. And we're left wondering, what if? What if someone had connected the dots? What if someone had seen past the perfect Instagram posts and the van life dream and noticed the nightmare that was unfolding? You know how everyone's Instagram feed looks like a highlight reel? Well, Gabby and Brian's was the ultimate van life fantasy. I mean, imagine scrolling through their posts. It's like a non-stop parade of dreamy sunsets, cozy van setups, and these big beaming smiles. You'd think they were living their best life, right? But here's the thing. What if those picture-perfect posts were hiding something much darker? It's like their Instagram feed was this polished mask, all shiny and perfect on the outside, but underneath, cracks everywhere. Living in a tiny van with someone 24/7 is no picnic. It's like being stuck in an elevator with your partner, but for months on end. Can you imagine the kind of tension that could build up? And get this, while Gabby's busy posting about their amazing adventures, her friends are starting to notice some seriously weird changes in her behavior. She's canceling plans more often, always checking in with Brian and just not seeming like herself. It's like watching your best friend slowly disappear right in front of your eyes, you know? But because everything looks so perfect online, it's easy to brush off those little red flags. Now, here's where it gets really chilling. Experts say that social media often acts as this big, shiny mask for people in abusive relationships. It's like they're desperate to show the world that everything's okay, even when it's falling apart behind the scenes. And you know what's scary? This isn't just a Gabby and Brian thing. It's happening all around us. Get this, nearly half of women who experience domestic violence say their partners had no history of being violent. That's right, half. Can you imagine how many people out there are suffering in silence, all while their Instagram feed looks like something out of a fairy tale? But let's zoom back in on Gabby and Brian for a sec. Their last Instagram post, shared on August 25th, 2021, shows this joyful, carefree moment. It's the kind of photo that would make anyone go, wow, they're really living the dream. But here's the gut punch. It was one of the last glimpses we'd ever get of Gabby's life. I mean, can you imagine posting a happy photo like that, knowing what was really going on? It's like screaming for help, but nobody can hear you because you're smiling in the picture, you know? And it's not just Gabby and Brian, this whole social media versus reality thing. It's a huge problem, especially for younger folks. We're all out here curating our lives online, showing off our best moments, our biggest smiles. But what about all the stuff that happens when the camera's not rolling? The really heartbreaking part is that Gabby's friends noticed something was off. They saw the changes in her behavior, the way she was pulling away. But with all those seemingly perfect posts flooding their feeds, it was probably hard to believe that things could really be that bad. You know how sometimes a single text message can change everything? Well, that's exactly what happened in Gabby's case. Picture this. Nicola Schmidt, Gabby's mom, is just going about her day when her phone buzzes. It's a text from Gabby. At first glance, it seems normal enough. But as Nicole reads it, something feels off. The message says, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Now, here's the thing. Stan is Gabby's grandfather, and Gabby never called him Stan. It's completely out of character for her. Nicole's mom radar goes into overdrive, and her instincts are spot on. This text message, it's about to become a huge piece of the puzzle. After this, Gabby goes completely silent. No more texts, no calls, nothing. For a girl who was usually in constant contact with her family, this sudden silence is terrifying. When investigators started looking into this text, they realized it might not have been sent by Gabby at all. Think about it. If you were trying to impersonate someone, you might mess up on little details like what they call their grandpa, right? The timing of this text is crucial. It was sent on August 27th, 2021, just 2 days before Gabby was reported missing. That single baffling text was the last trace of Gabby, a final cry for help that vanished into silence. Well, on the same day as this weird text, there's video footage of Gabby. It's the last time she's seen on camera. So we've got this strange message, the last visual evidence of Gabby, and then nothing. It's like she just vanished into thin air. In cases like this, experts say that unusual language or phrasing in a victim's last messages can be a sign of distress or coercion. It's like the person is trying to send a hidden message or someone else is pretending to be them. Imagine if you were in trouble and couldn't openly ask for help. You might try to say something that would make your family realize something was wrong without tipping off the person controlling you. Could that be what Gabby was doing with this strange message about her grandfather? Or was it something even more sinister? Was someone else using Gabby's phone, trying to buy time before anyone realized she was missing? It's the kind of question that keeps investigators up at night. In today's world, our phones hold so much information. Investigators can use cell phone forensics to track where a message was sent from, when it was sent, even details about the device it was sent from. All of this becomes crucial evidence in piecing together what happened to Gabby. It's crazy to think that in just a few words, we might be seeing the last traces of Gabby or the first signs of a cover-up. This one text message opened up a whole new avenue of investigation, leading authorities down a path they never expected. You know how they say actions speak louder than words? Well, Brian Laundrie's actions were screaming at the top of their lungs. Picture this. It's September 1st, and Brian pulls up to his parents' house in Florida. But here's the kicker. He's driving Gabby's van, and Gabby? She's nowhere to be seen. Can you imagine coming home from a cross-country trip without your fiancé? But wait, it gets even weirder. You'd think Brian would be freaking out, telling everyone Gabby's missing, right? Nope. Total silence. Instead, he's acting like everything's normal. He's going camping with his family and riding his bike around the neighborhood like it's just another day. Seriously, your fiancé is missing and you're out there living your best life. Now, here's where things start to get really suspicious. When Gabby's family starts asking questions, Brian and his parents just clam up. They're not talking to anyone. Not the police, not Gabby's family, nobody. It's like they've suddenly decided to play the world's worst game of hide and seek. You know how in movies the guilty person always acts super sketchy? Well, Brian was basically writing the playbook for suspicious behavior. Experts say that in missing persons cases, innocent people usually can't wait to help out. They're the ones knocking on doors, handing out flyers, doing everything they can to find their loved one. But Brian, he was doing the exact opposite. And get this, while everyone's wondering where Gabby is, Brian's out there using her debit card. It's like he's not even trying to hide his tracks, and he's making these phone calls to his parents, saying Gabby's gone and he needs help. It's almost like he's trying to create some kind of alibi, you know? But here's the thing that really got investigators' attention. Brian's family hired a lawyer right away. Now, I'm not saying hiring a lawyer means you're guilty or anything, but it definitely raised some eyebrows. It's like, why do you need a lawyer if there's nothing to hide? All of this bizarre behavior, it's actually pretty common in cases like this. Experts say that a lot of times people who've done something really bad will try to go back to their normal life. It's like they're trying to pretend nothing happened, but let me tell you, it usually just makes things worse in the long run. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. If you were in Brian's shoes and Gabby really was missing, what would you do? Would you be out camping and biking, or would you be doing everything in your power to find her? The thing is, all of this strange behavior, it actually makes the investigation a whole lot harder. When someone refuses to cooperate, it's like trying to put together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. And in cases like this, time is super important. Every day that goes by makes it harder to find out what really happened. In a digital age where every scroll can spark a breakthrough, the internet became an unlikely detective in Gabby's case. You know how people always joke about armchair detectives? Well, in Gabby's case, they actually helped crack it wide open. It's like the internet turned into this massive global search party. Millions of people were analyzing every detail of Gabby's online presence, Instagram posts, YouTube videos, TikToks, you name it. But here's where it gets wild. A couple of YouTubers were going through their own vacation footage when they spotted something huge. Gabby's van parked in the middle of nowhere at Spread Creek in Grand Teton National Park. Can you imagine you're just reviewing your vacation videos and suddenly you're holding a key piece of evidence in a missing persons case? It's like something out of a movie, right? This wasn't just some random sighting. It gave the police an exact location to search, and it all stemmed from this YouTube video Gabby and Brian had posted on August 19th, 2021, called Beginning Our Van Life Journey. It was part of Gabby's efforts to document their adventures on her YouTube channel, Nomadic Static. People were analyzing every frame, trying to piece together their route. In this case, social media became this powerful tool for good. It's like in this digital age, we're all kind of detectives, you know, and sometimes that can make all the difference. But here's the thing, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Experts have pointed out that while public involvement through social media can lead to breakthroughs, it can also result in misinformation and undue pressure on law enforcement. I mean, think about it. You've got millions of people all trying to solve this case. Some of them are going to get things wrong. Some are going to jump to conclusions. And all of that noise, it can make it harder for the professionals to do their job. In Gabby's case, though, the pros and cons of social media involvement became a huge talking point. It sparked this whole discussion about the role of the public in criminal investigations. Should we all be playing detective, or should we leave it to the professionals? What's really interesting is that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. There have been other cases where online communities have gathered and analyzed evidence, sometimes leading to significant discoveries. It's like we're seeing the birth of this new kind of crowdsourced investigation. Netflix even made a docuseries called American Murder, Gabby Petito that highlights how social media played a significant role in the case. It's pretty wild to think about, right? A missing persons case becoming almost like a real-time true crime documentary that millions of people are participating in. All this online sleuthing didn't just help solve the case, it also shone a light on how we consume true crime stories in the digital age. We're not just passive viewers anymore, we're active participants. And that participation, it can be incredibly powerful. In Gabby's case, it led to crucial breakthroughs, but it also raises some big questions, like how do we balance the potential benefits of public involvement with the risks of spreading misinformation? How do we make sure that our desire to help doesn't end up hindering the official investigation? So remember how we were all hoping for some answers when they found Brian's body? Well, they did find something, but it's not exactly what we were expecting. Next to his remains, there was this waterlogged notebook, and inside, a confession. But let me tell you, it's not the kind of confession that ties everything up in a neat little bow. In this notebook, Brian admits to killing Gabby, but here's where it gets really messed up. He tries to frame it as some kind of mercy killing. He wrote, "I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted." His words offer not solace, but a window into a disturbed mind desperately trying to rewrite history. You start to see all these twisted justifications, all this blame shifting. Experts who've looked at this kind of thing say it's actually pretty common for perpetrators to try and justify their actions like this. They call it a psychological defense mechanism. It's like Brian's brain is desperately trying to paint him as the good guy in a story where he's clearly the villain. Gabby's mom, Nicole Schmidt, saw right through it. Her words cut to the heart of Brian's manipulation. Narcissists rewrite history to escape accountability. It's like she perfectly captured what Brian was doing, even from beyond the grave. This confession raises more questions than it answers. What does he mean when he says he panicked and was in shock? Is he trying to suggest it was some kind of accident? And when he talks about taking away her pain, what pain is he referring to? There's no evidence that Gabby was suffering or wanted to die. It's all just, well, it's disturbing to say the least. Legal experts say these posthumous confessions can be super complicated. They might not be admissible in court, but they can totally change how the public sees the case. And in situations like wrongful death lawsuits, they can really stir things up. The language Brian uses is actually pretty similar to what we see in other domestic violence cases. There's this pattern of expressing regret, but also trying to frame their actions as protective or merciful. It's like they're trying to convince themselves as much as anyone else that they're not the bad guy. And then there's Brian's final words in the notebook. Brace yourself, because this is pretty dark stuff. He wrote, "I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy." Even in his last moments, he's still trying to control the narrative, to manipulate how people see him. It's like he couldn't let go of that need for control, you know? Even when he knew he was about to die, he was still trying to shape the story. And that's something we see a lot in cases like this desperate need to maintain control, even when everything's falling apart. As we wrap up Gabby's story, it's like we've been on this emotional roller coaster together, but it's more than just one tragic case. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Recognizing abuse isn't always easy. Watch out for controlling behavior, isolation from friends and family, or constant apologizing for a partner. Let's not let Gabby's story fade away. Let it remind us that every overlooked warning can cost a life. Speak up when something feels off. Your voice could make all the difference. Remember, there's help out there. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-7-873-224. It's completely confidential. Let's use Gabby's legacy to prevent another tragedy.